It's about putting people smarter than you in the right places.
On today's episode, I have Mitch Hahn. Mitch Hahn is the CEO of Nordens. Nordens is a top 100 accountancy firm. They've been growing 25% year on year.
I think the average accountancy firm in the country turns over sort of 300,000. We've nearly doubled that in 1 year.
And even grew by over £1 million worth of extra revenue last year. So really interesting chat. This is the Eardley Bird Business Podcast with me, Oli Eardley, and we're of course sponsored by Ad People. So, Mitch, how are you going? How's your day gone so far?
Day's gone well. Just got back from the gym actually.
Nice.
So I had a nightmare with Google Chrome, but we're on now. All good. What about yours?
Yeah, it's been fairly chill, to be honest. I've just took it slow, getting ready for today's podcast. So yeah, ready to get going.
It's a big one.
Yeah, it's huge. Yeah. Definitely the most important one.
Yeah, I completely agree. Thank you for having me on, Oli. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem at all. So where I'd like to start really is get an idea of your background and how you've got to the position you're in now. And really, yeah, just that sort of picture would be great. So I wonder if you could talk me through that.
Yeah, sure. I mean, probably not a sort of stereotypical background of an ordinary accountant. My background's actually football. I came out of football when I was sort of 18, 19. So from 16 onwards, I was in full-time football, signed a professional contract, and then fell out the game. I won't blame injury. It was just purely because I probably wasn't. I didn't have the mental strength as what some of the other players had. And then just kind of went through a bit of a rough patch. Didn't really know what to do with myself. Still thought I was going to be a professional footballer up until the age of sort of 26, 27. I still think I'm going to be one now. But yeah, and I just kind of ended up looking for a job. I had to get a job. I was running out of money. Somehow ended up in accountancy. Always been interested in business, and my dad, rightly or wrongly, always said that all the top business owners in the world are all accountants, which I think he was lying. I think he was just basically saying it so that I'd sort of get my act together.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, I found a firm locally actually that was run by a guy called Mark Norden, who it was just him and his dog. Literally, him and his border collie Nick, who were in the office, and he said, "Will I study?" I had no intention of studying, but I went in because I needed a job. And fast forward 20 odd years, we're here. But it's been an interesting journey. I mean, I could go into all sorts of stories and all sorts of things that kind of went on, but I'm sure they'll come up as we go. But yeah, interesting. And now, you know, from sort of one man and his dog, we bought Mark out about 3.5 years ago, four of us, and we are top 100 firm with employing 75 people. So it's, but yeah, I mean, it's not just always sunshine and rainbows. It is tough. It's always tough as well.
Yeah, so that's really interesting. So early days, we're wanting to be a pro footballer.
Still do.
Didn't quite. You still do, yeah. Don't we all, right? But then it sounds like you kind of almost fell into accountancy. It's like something your dad suggested and you're like, okay, I'll try it out almost. Am I right in saying that?
Do you know what? No, the truth is if any job had come up, that could have been any industry, I probably would have taken it. And, you know, my dad is in celebrity management and PR. And I'm sure that he didn't let me go and work with him because I was a bit of a nightmare teenager where I was, you know, a bit off the rails. And my early 20s, I was sort of mentally in my own world and struggling a lot. And I think he just wanted me just as far away from him as possible.
Sure.
So yeah, it was just really random how accountancy kind of came up. And like I said, I'd always been interested in business as a kid. I loved it. And so it was really great to learn that was the main interest for me as I kind of got into accountancy. It wasn't so much the compliance and numbers, it was actually advising on businesses and understanding the sort of the cogs and the mechanics behind all different types of businesses, all different shapes and sizes.
Yeah. I mean, when you mentioned about what loving business when you were a kid, were you quite entrepreneurial, or in what way do you mean
Well,
by that?
selling chewing gums at school is
Yeah,
entrepreneurial, then slightly, but
yeah.
yes and no.
Mhm.
Some people would say I am entrepreneurial. I don't think I am. I'm good at surrounding myself with entrepreneurial people that kind of give me ideas to develop. I'm a doer. I like to get things
Mhm.
done.
Sure.
But no, I wouldn't say I wouldn't sort of shout on the fact that I'm entrepreneurial,
Mhm.
which is interesting. Like I said, I think if you
Mhm.
spoke to someone else about me, they would
Yeah, yeah.
go, "Oh, he's definitely entrepreneurial." But yeah, I think someone like Elon Musk is entrepreneurial, who
Yeah,
just
yeah.
kind of has like these crazy ideas and goes and does, he's the extreme version of it. I don't think I'm anywhere near what entrepreneurial. I mean, what's your definition of entrepreneurial?
So for me, all it would mean is people that are usually people that have sort of built businesses or started little projects, usually earlier on. I'd describe as
Yeah.
entrepreneur, but that even in later life, you can start a business and build a business is still being entrepreneurial. So for me, it doesn't always mean people that have started a business from scratch as well, because you can be sort of an entrepreneur and then almost build up to be an entrepreneur and take more of a leadership sort of role, which seems like that might be a little bit closer to where you are in terms of you were within the business and then you've took more of a operational sort of role.
I think I come across so many business owners that would say they're entrepreneurs,
Hmm.
but ultimately what they've done is they've bought themselves a really highly stressful job. So I
Hmm.
see
Yeah.
some business owners who sort of also say they're entrepreneurs, and they run a business and it's not reliant on them and it's running and they're just a creative that goes with it. But then I see
Hmm.
others, like I said before, and they're just sort of high end stressful job, and they're earning not as much money as they would if they were to go and get a job.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
the risk is a lot higher. So yeah, I think there's a real sort of perception over the word entrepreneurial
Hmm.
or entrepreneur.
Yeah. For sure. And then, so fast forwarding then, a couple of years ago, how many years ago was it you mentioned, was it four others or was it four in total people that bought out there?
Yeah, so we four of us. So over the years, we've kind of brought on. So after me, Joe came on board. He's our advisory director now,
Hmm.
and Joe came. Joe was actually working at Tesco's when he came on board. So
Wow.
he actually it was actually Mark's Norden's mother-in-law, I think it was his mother-in-law, was in Tesco's and got chatting to a guy called Joe who was stacking the shelves, who said he wanted to be an accountant. And
Hmm.
then, yeah, it was just kind of the rest is history. He came in for an interview. I know, it's brilliant.
Yeah.
So he started from scratch as well, and now he's fully our advisory director and sort of,
Yeah.
I would say he's an extremely strong, effectively strategic business consultant, and he sort of
Hmm.
leads up all our advisory services here and
Hmm.
provides training to all the guys here to be able to deliver advisory services as well.
Hmm.
So from there, then we had Yoda. She came in, and then Darren, I think, who's our operations director now. Again, he came in temping in payroll. He's actually my brother. He came in. We
Right.
needed someone. He was. I think he was working at PRS in music, and then he came in and temped and ended up with the role. He's now a qualified accountant and our operations director. And Lorraine
Sure.
is our audit director now, and she came in after. And then as we went, we kind of built the business, all built the business together, including Mark. And he's a lot
Hmm.
older than us, and I think he just got to a point where I think it was during COVID actually. I think he just had enough because
Yeah,
we were
yeah,
sort
yeah.
of full steam ahead in COVID. It was crazy. I mean, every day meetings, like 4 meetings a day between the directors, making sure we were doing things. And I think it just kind of burnt him out. And
Yeah, yeah.
you know, so yeah. So then four of us bought him out, and we're here.
Yeah, and so a few years on, it sounds to me just from what you're saying that as an accountancy firm, there's a lot of strategy behind it, a lot of advisory side around it, which is not always typical for every sort of accountancy firm. How would you describe you guys as a firm?
Yeah. I think the whole sort of the reason why we've grown so much and the reason why sort of the advisory is extremely important. I think if you look at a lot of accountants across the world, I'd say, but let's just talk about the country.
Hmm.
People go, business owners and people, and I'm sure you're one of them as well. You go to your accountant for business advice,
Hmm.
and what people tend to get in return is accountancy advice. And in all due respect, I think no one really cares about accountancy advice. No one gets a nice set of accounts, frames them, and puts them on the wall.
Sure.
So we kind of found the niche that actually you come to us for business advice, you're going to get business advice in return, because we're passionate. I guess the one thing that we've all got in common is we're passionate about business and helping people, because I think we've, as directors or now directors, we were helped a lot in the past. So I think the passion, knowing how much we were helped, the passion kind of runs through to helping other people. But ultimately, everyone's got a passion for the business side of things here. So I'd say that we're very much business focused. We do all the compliance, but compliance is standard. If you go to your accountant and they can't do a set of accounts, you've got a problem. So I think it's more the advice that comes with it. Obviously making sure you're set up efficiently, but the actual advice to help you get to where you want to be, I think, is key. And I think that's where we really focus our services around.
Perfect. And obviously your role is it CEO? Just to double check, you're CEO.
I'm surprised I've not gone grey yet, but yeah.
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 So how's that been going? How's the taking the sort of reins, sort of the almost the face of the company as a CEO, right? So how is that?
Well, I've never been a CEO before. My role mainly, I went from sort of doing accounts to hated doing accounts. I like to be out there. I like speaking to people. You could probably tell by my character. I'm not your typical accountant. So I went, I kind of made myself, I kind of made my trade in business development. So my whole thing was about bringing in new business, going out, meeting people, telling them how we can help them, and them coming on board. From there, when Mark left, it was Mark wanted to. He thought we need a CEO. So I would never have forgiven myself if I didn't put myself forward for it.
Yeah.
So I spoke with Mark, and Mark said that see what the others think. And anyway, they all kind of said, "Yeah, go on, give it a go. Why not?"
Yeah.
It's tough because obviously the CEO overlooks and oversees. It's about putting people smarter than you in the right places, in my opinion. And it's been tough because when things go well, it's great. You know, it's like, oh, great, Mitch, CEO, whatever. But when things go bad and it's not really your fault, sometimes again, it comes down on me as well. So it's tough, and it is always tough sort of doing things that I don't necessarily understand too much as well. So, like managing cash is extremely tough. I mean, fortunately, I've got someone like Joe and Lorraine and Yoda around me, and Darren as well, who that's what their expertise are. Mine's mainly growth. So in my role, I try and focus more on the growth side of things and let the others do what they do best. But yeah, it's tough. And I think I became CEO in sort of November 2019, March 2020. It was COVID.
Well, yeah. So how was that sort of navigating it from almost just starting and then going into a pandemic?
I mean, at the time, it was extremely scary because, you're having to tell people that everything's going to be all right. And I didn't even have a clue what I was doing myself. But it was probably, I look back and it was probably that not many people can say that as like leading a business to you can get, we got through that leading, and I was leading it at the time. So it was probably one of the best experiences and one of the most valuable experiences I've ever had. But it was extremely tough. You can probably hear a dog in the background as well. Can you not? We've got a dog.
I'm actually all right.
Oh, really? We're dog friendly in the office, so it's dog today.
So as the firm CEO, it sounds like your focus is growth.
Yes.
So could you talk me through, since you took over, and let's say through the pandemic, over the last few years, how has that looked? How has the firm's growth looked?
We've grown 25% year on year, which is really good for an accountancy firm. I think we grew I've looked at the numbers not long ago actually, and we grew, I would say the last 12 months, the same size as what the average, bigger. I think the average accountancy firm in the country turns over sort of 300,000. We've nearly doubled that in 1 year, which is we've more than doubled that. What am I talking about? grown by nearly £1 million in sort of gross reoccurring fees, which is incredible. And that's purely by really focusing on service for our clients.
Wow. Okay.
And yeah, I mean, we differentiate ourselves with having a business development team that are really sort of what they call client success and focused on helping our clients achieve. So a lot of our business comes from within. So we're really focusing on, we've got a team that will go out and look for business, but mainly focus on sort of the businesses that we've got, making sure they're on track. And we just get so many referrals. It's really, really good. I mean, we've done a couple of acquisitions 3 acquisitions in the past, not big ones, one bigger one, but not big ones. But that was mainly because the opportunity came around. And but yeah, it's we've grown 25% year on year, which is excellent. And you know, it's like I said, it's all about servicing our clients the right way and getting people internally to buy into why we're doing things. I would say that's been the key.
Okay. So buying into it internally. So could you talk me through that client success side? Because that's not always the case for every company. So what does their role look like? How do they go about making sure that it is such a great experience that people are giving you loads of referrals?
Yeah, it's an interesting. I mean, it's effectively a business development role. But what we were finding was that once clients were coming on board, they were still liaising with the person in business development.
Sure.
And the team in business development end up giving a lot of advice and business support to the client. And actually what I was finding was that what our roles are actually helping clients become successful, whether that's because they're using our service or whether that's introducing them to someone or whether that's giving them sort of basic level advice before they come on board and work with someone more technical. So what they will do is they will work with their with the accountants or the teams internally, and they will liaise with them about some of the clients they're working with and so on, and then they'll go out and see them and discuss about their business and how, you know, what they're looking to achieve. And it's quite a lot for their account manager to do that, because they're working with sort of 100, 150 clients, and, you know, work still has to get done. I know AI will come in and which I'm sure we'll get onto, but I'm sure technology, and it has already come in to improve sort of time efficiency, but they've still got to get work done. And so to have a team that are there to actually liaise with clients, communicate with them, find out what they're actually in business for and seeing how we can do it, it's literally really how we've grown. I mean, we've got a great marketing team as well. Internal marketing team which do that side of things, and our sort of outside presence, I call it internal and external. Our external is sort of clients that come on from that they've never heard of us before, and they find us online, or they'll find us sort of, you know, mainly online now, isn't it? But yeah, I think that's really, but it all comes from within. If you can create a happy camp inside, people can feel it, people can sense it, and then it's easy to sort of go out, and it's easy for people to find you, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I think it definitely makes sense that you've obviously got account managers almost where they've got quite a few clients they have to be dealing with. They can't give the level of service, or they can't go out and see clients all the time because it's just not viable. So you use essentially your BDMs or client success in your case are visiting these people. Do they have a set group of clients that they sort of work within, or how does that work? Because, you know, to make sure they're seeing the right sort of people, the amount of time they have.
It comes from communicate. So they'll, yes and no. Probably they won't work with a set clients. It will be, for example, they will liaise with anyone in the office really who, you know, they'll just discuss things, and not really any specific, but when someone gets a sense of opportunity, or whether there's an opportunity to either discuss their business with them and sort of, you know, we get a lot of people that don't realize that we can provide, you know, serious business advisory services to them, and they will their account manager effectively that they're working with will come and speak to us in client success, and they'll say, I'm working with this client, they want to do X, Y, Z or whatever, and then we'll arrange a client success will arrange to go out and see them, really talk to them, and get into the real reasons and the purpose of their business and so on, and then sort of go from there. So there's no set client base, but
it's It's a bit more organic than that, right? It's a little bit more.
Absolutely.
Okay,
Absolutely.
that makes sense, because it usually is a good sign if a business is getting referrals and that's the top source, right? So yeah, they're obviously doing something right there. You mentioned obviously you've got a great internal marketing team.
Yeah.
What is it they're doing in order to get clients from other than referrals?
I'll be honest, I don't know. Marketing is a minefield for me. I think there's so many different types of marketing. I think over the years, we've never really marketed. All of our stuff came from referrals. But I think once we kind of structured ourselves in the right way, and we got to a point where it was like, look, we've got a happy camp. We're delivering great services for clients. It's now time to sort of go out and really, in the past, our website's been a brochure. So people we'll meet someone out, client success will meet someone, give them the website, they'll go on, oh, this looks nice. Let's, whereas now it's about turning these things into lead generation, which you'll know obviously about as well. And I think that's something we've struggled with in the past. I think with our marketing team that we've got now, I think that is really starting to happen, as in we're getting some of our biggest clients the last 12 months have come from people just finding us online, which is, I never thought would happen, but it is absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, and I love that, because basically some people almost jump the gun on marketing and say, let's ramp it up, let's get loads of sales and new people on, but they don't always have the systems and the service to back it up. And it's just almost like a recipe for disaster. You're kind of just feeding a bad machine, whereas you've kind of done it the probably the more economical way, whereas we're going to get all our services, really going well. We're going to have, people referring us before we go and start ramping things up. And that sounds where it's sort of gone with you so far. Am I right in saying that? Or
do you know what, Ollie? We had a time in COVID where we were running daily webinars, right? And they were so good. They were daily webinars. Obviously, the government were coming out with all the different updates every single day. So we were doing daily webinars. We were getting quite a few numbers on there. So we spoke to a marketing company and we thought, look, we also heard that a lot of people pull their marketing budget as the first sort of cost that they will cut down or pull. So I thought, well, if everyone's pulling it, it must be the time to actually excel on it. And it must be the time. Yeah, exactly. So we did. And it caused carnage. We were getting the leads we were getting in. I promise you, we took a decent budget behind it. We were probably getting in 100 leads a day.
Wow.
Which is outrageous. Yeah, but they were all the wrong ones. I mean, they were all people that they were signing up or they were registering with us, but when we got in touch with them, they either wouldn't answer or they didn't have a business. It was just a complete. So we ended up wasting loads of money. So it was a great experience, because now I actually understand that you need to get everything so right. You need to have your ideal client, the audience. It needs to, before you push it, because if you push it, you're just going to get all the wrong things. It's going to cost you loads of money and you're not going to get any reward. And it's something I learned the hard way, but it's something I'm happy I learned.
Yeah, no, 100%. There's so many different, my brain's just like, I've seen that before. Because usually when people come to me, it's usually after they've ran some campaigns or they've tried something and it's not worked. So a lot of the times it is, I've just thrown loads of money at this and I'm getting the wrong type of person. That's usually the problem that people see. Especially like really low quality, or they're not answering the phone, as you've mentioned there. So there's loads of examples of people in that situation. But okay, it sounds like you're in a great position. You've been doing some really good stuff. What is the goals for, let's say, the rest of this year then? What's the goals for the business?
Well, our year's just starting now. So we've just finished it's coming up today, actually, is the end of our sort of financial year.
So your financial,
So we've obviously got, one of the things we've been guilty of over the years is just overcomplicating a lot of things. So when I hear sort of what's the company objectives, we went through a stage of just making loads of company objectives, creating a perfect world. But the problem is if you try and do too many, you achieve none. So this year moving forward, we've really chose to simplify it, which is it's annoying because they don't, it's going to sound really bad. They don't excite me, but I know if we achieve them, I'll be excited.
Yeah.
Do you see what I mean? So we've obviously got our financial sort of goals, our turnover, our profit, our whatever. But one of the things that we've put in is client retention this time round, is I think, the faster you grow, the more likely it is that you lose a client, I think. So our aim is to sort of put a plug in that. And that doesn't necessarily mean clients that leave us through unhappiness. That means to actually help more businesses as well. Because I think last year we had a lot of clients, smaller more than larger, that sort of went out of business or retired or whatever. So I think that it's mainly about making sure that we can improve our client retention by helping those business owners as well. And a lot of them didn't even realize that we could, or they come to us too late, if that makes sense. I think that's a big objective for us. We've got a brand awareness target, which is a marketing target, which is obviously really important. I try not to get to. Like I said, I don't really understand marketing too much.
Sure, yeah.
We have something called branding book as well. So internally, and you'll see where I'm going. Why it's so simple, but it creates such a big effect. So we have a branding book with a quarterly sort of branding winner. So every quarter or every month, people are we're targeted as a group to have internal and external stories written about you. So if you provide a good service, if you do something great internally for someone, you get an internal, and someone can put you in the branding book, and we give money to charity for every branding book mention.
Okay.
And also external. So if a client does a Google testimonial or something like that, then that goes in there as an external, again with a charity donation as well. And I think the person with the most, or the team with the most branding book entries will get a quarterly prize and so on. So we do things like that. But what that does is that gets people providing a great service, which leads to referrals, which leads to that. So we target those. One of our other ones as well. A lot of them are internal. It's the case of making sure that every client has gone through I won't call it just a review. I think what happens is I think in a lot of accountancy firms, accountants aren't very good at, and some will, I'll be as I don't mind being controversial. I know they're not. Accountants aren't very good at charging properly, in my opinion. We don't use timesheets. We do fixed fees, but they're quick to offer so much value, but not actually talk to the client and explain that they need to charge for it. So we end up doing a lot of work for free.
Sure. Yeah.
And that can't really happen. So every we're going to try and go through a review of every client, and that doesn't mean there's going to be much change, but I think what will happen is it will allow everyone to actually understand their clients even better.
Sure.
And be able to provide a better service and so on. So a lot of it's internal.
Sure. So that review, would you be looking back at previous correspondence? How often you're speaking to them? What sort of value you're giving? Is that sort of thing you mean?
Yeah, and also a review on them, what they're trying to achieve. Have we got notes on actually what they're trying to achieve? If you were a client, I'd want to know exactly what you're trying to achieve over the next 5 years. I want to know how far you are away, and I want to know what's stopping you doing it. I want all these notes, not notes like, oh, we've spent 4 hours on this when we actually only charge this. I want to actually understand why we're working with you and why you're working with us. So that might be that kind of review. That's when I mean a review. So we want to review everything, all our clients. So 100% review.
Perfect. No, I like that.
Yeah.
It's almost like making sure you're on the same page as well, working towards, their goals, your goals. Yeah. So that works for me. I like the branding book thing as well. I think that's really, really cool.
Yeah,
as long as it's getting everyone almost aligned towards ultimately the same goal again. Something that I like, that I had a podcast with Rachel Harris recently, another accountancy firm. Yeah, she's great. And she talked about external sort of reviews, and one thing that she's been focusing on is getting, even the positive reviews and actually reaching out to those people as well. Because a lot of people would focus on the negatives, right? Oh, we've had this bad review. Whereas she's been reaching out to the really good ones and saying, what was it that sparked that and made you want to leave a really good review? So she can obviously put those systems in place and get more of that sort of, great feedback.
I did a talk with Rachel a couple of years ago at the Digital Accountancy show, and she's really sort of trying to do. She's really trying to do what we're trying to do, and what I mean by that is, I say, yeah, I'm trying to do. We're trying to do. She's trying to redefine the industry, and she's trying to make the industry cool, right? And she's doing a great job of it. And I think it's so good what she's doing as well. And the way she presents herself is fantastic. So a lot of respect for Rachel. She's doing good things.
Yeah, no, really, really cool. So I think you've got some good stuff there into client retention as well. It seems like a lot of the stuff that you're doing there is around service and keeping clients and sort of growing in that way.
A lot of people make the mistake of sort of going to the outside world for growth. I think when I speak to other accountants, we were looking for an acquisition at one point, and I was speaking to I spoke to about 80 accountants. And we were talking about growth, and they're like, oh yeah, we grow quite a lot. I'm like, okay, go on, tell me how much. And they're like, 2 clients a week at the tops. Some were saying me 2 clients a month. And I was like, don't get me wrong, it depends on the client. If you go and pick up a huge client, but they weren't.
Sure.
You just think, how are you getting new business? What are you trying to do? Like, oh, well, I go to networking events and I post on LinkedIn, and I'm like, okay, why don't you focus on the clients that you've got? Talk to them, give them the best service you can, understand the value that you can bring them, give them the value that you know you can give them, and they'll be passing you clients left, right, and centre. And it's effectively how we've grown over the years. I mean, the perfect example is I still play football, and I've got a physio that I use. And honestly, I mean, I'll name him Gary Lewin. He was ex-Arsenal in England and stuff. Honestly, without him, I would not be playing. I mean, he doesn't give me anything. I pay his fee. I mean, sure. I pay his fee. He's expensive. He doesn't give me anything if I pass him a client. But because he has literally worked wonders on me, all I do is try and recommend him when I get the opportunity, and that's purely out of the goodness of my heart, knowing what he can do. So it's the same thing.
Yeah,
if I can get excited over a physiotherapist, someone could probably get excited over their account.
Yeah, well, I mean, I guess if you can get excited over physiotherapists, you could easily get excited over your accountant, right? If they're making you more business. So, I think it's great.
It's true. Focus on what you've got, because what you've got, it's huge.
Yeah, I think you've really nailed it, because you've got a really good system there, and all your goals and all your business focuses around retaining clients and actually improving that service. But then you've also got, as you've mentioned, a great marketing team that is bringing in more clients, but at a pace that is, reasonable for you. It's not like you're saying, I need to double the business by this time next year, which some people.
What's interesting about marketing is that I think it has a wider impact internally than external as well. I think that having a marketing team really boosts your internal presence, and what I mean by that is getting everyone to buy into what you're trying to do, and I think, or the overall sort of mission and so on. And I think we hosted, first time last year, we did a company branding day that marketing hosted for us. It was one of the best. It was brilliant. We did one this year as well. So good, going through all the company values, all the company purpose, and things like that. And we did an activity in the afternoon and so on, and where the industry was going, talking about advisory, blah blah blah. Same old stuff. I won't give away all our secrets. But I could never have done that. It had to be the way marketing delivered that was just unbelievable. I mean, it was something that I've been wanting it for years, but I've never known how to do it. And it was better than it went better than I ever thought it would go. So it was, I think marketing add value internally as well as externally as well.
Yeah, no, for sure. So in terms of this year then, so apart from what you've mentioned there, what else are you trying? Are you trying anything new with, I will bring it up because we kind of already
I'm
briefly
happy you're going to bring it up. It's good.
AI. So what are you doing, anything, technology wise?
Do you know what? It's such an interesting topic, isn't it? Everyone's sort of talking about it, and I get emails every day from all these accounting, or not just accounting, all these AI this, AI that. I think there's a newsletter called Superhuman AI, really, really good. I don't know if you're on it, but you should.
No, I'm not. Look, Superhuman AI, was it?
AI, yeah. I mean, it's really, really good, but it frightens the life out of me seeing the things that you can do. But our industry is really interesting because, I mean, everyone uses it, ChatGPT, for whatever. I mean, I haven't met anyone who doesn't use it now.
Yeah.
But we're so tied into tech. And what I mean by that is we use Iris, we use Zero, we use this, we use that. And they've got billions behind them. So do you go and build something which is good, which we've spoken about? We came up with ideas. We went and got quotes with someone who it's not cheap. Or do you wait and let these big tech companies build it internally themselves? I don't know. And if I don't know, it means for me it's a little bit too early for our industry. I'm yet to meet anyone who can say to me, we can do this, and this with AI. And that can actually change what we're doing. I think it's a little bit too early. I'd love to work with it.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts?
Well, the way I've seen with other accountancy firms and people I've spoken to so far that use AI, for me, it's less about using it. It's more to use it to supplement what you're doing and give you more time to spend with your clients more than anything. So the way I see it's being used with people so far is all those mundane tasks that maybe you guys as an accountancy firm are doing every single day, that's repeatable, that you think really we should be passing that on to something like AI to take that time away.
Give me an example.
So that could be client calls, could be taking all the notes, sending that across to the client automatically. That could be an example. One could be, again, if we look at client notes, because that's a really good example, because typically how that would work is you'd have a call with someone, right? And then you'd be like, right, I'm going to type up all my notes. That might take you 20, 30 minutes, whatever. And then you're sending it across to a client. So that's one way of doing it. Another thing is a lot of things I've seen a lot with phone systems and that side of it as well. That's a new thing that's happening quite a lot. So it can be even from a business development perspective, there's a lot going on with AI in that respect, but also from a customer service perspective. One thing that we found with our clients, we did a survey last year of every single client we have across 4,500. And we found that I think 50% of them were missing 50% of the calls. Can you imagine the amount of business they're sort of missing just from not being able to pick up a phone every single time? Whereas, so one thing that we did recently is we developed a software, an AI piece of software that essentially will take that message for them, that message, transcribe it and reply back to the customer to keep them warm. It's almost like a lead incubator. There's lots of different ways that you can use AI, or lots of different ways that companies would use it. But I think definitely with an account, obviously you'll know accountancy more than I do. You're in it every single day, but there'll be loads of those sort of tasks every day that you could sort of optimize that you don't really need a human for.
No, I completely agree. And it's like, but do you go and build something and spend and invest loads of money into something to build when, say, we use Office 365, right? Copilot, will Copilot do it in now? I know it does a lot now. Or will we use Ignition for proposals? Will Ignition launch something AI? They're in a far better position to do stuff. So I think it's a tad too early. I think that we do use AI. We did test AI with prospecting. Hasn't really worked too. Sure. I just think it's a little bit too early at the minute. Which pains me to say, because we've always been sort of at the forefront of the industry. But I think what people are in danger of is going to invest loads of money in it. And then actually in 6 months or a year's time, someone else has already done it and you just pay a small monthly subscription for it.
Yeah, that's definitely the danger of building your own piece of software, right? So I'd say from a business level, it's almost where do we want to focus our time, and do we see the value of investing that time worthwhile? And again, what's your company vision? Do you want to be a software company, or do you want to move towards that, or trying to stick to your roots of being an advisory company?
I'm hoping that, like, if you look at the main sort of labor tasks in what we do, it's processing, right? It's putting stuff into accounts systems and producing accounts. I think Xero, then the reconciliations and things like that. I think to go and develop something that improves the time efficiency of something like that will be done. Xero will do it.
Yeah,
I'd like to think Xero would do it. Otherwise, they're gonna fall. They're gonna fall behind. So, like I said, we came up with an idea not long ago, but it would have cost us an absolute fortune to do.
Yeah.
And I don't. It frightens me to go and invest in it when, like I said, in a year's time, it'll probably be out of date.
Yeah.
And that concerns me.
Yeah. It's almost, it's a big gamble, isn't it? It's a big gamble. And I think unless you're what you think for your company is, look, I want to move more towards being a tech company. Unless that's the case, then it's definitely not worth doing, right? Because like you said, the chances are the investment behind a company like Xero or QuickBooks or any of these companies that have, let's face it, billions of pounds at their disposal and people that have that sort of background, you're almost losing a battle there unless you're just so early and it's just the perfect thing and you can almost sell it to those companies because the chances are they'll just buy it from you.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah.
Interesting though. We about 5, 6, maybe longer, 6 years ago, we developed an automation. So I think there's a lot of confusion between AI and automation as well. I think where a lot of people think they need AI, you don't. You can just do automations, whatever. You know. We've developed our own confirmation statement filing. We saved like 4 or 5 days a month for someone.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. But we developed it ages ago, and it didn't cost us that much to develop. And there's still no other confirmation statement system out there,
right? Yeah,
that is as good as what we've got. I've checked. I'll check all the time. Every show, I'll go and check. You know, I'll speak to someone who does it, and it still does not do what we can do, which is interesting. I tried to sell it to Iris, and tried to sell it to Iris, and they said no, we've got Elements coming out soon. Yeah, I don't think it's out yet. Is it 6, 7 years ago? But
yeah. There is,
But yeah, it still doesn't do what we do. So there are sort of things you can do, I think, that if it makes it worthwhile. I think AI is a different ball game. I think we're just slightly too early, and I think Xero will do something, right? I know like Silverfin and people there are companies out there that are already sort of toying around with it and adding it into their systems. I think it's just it won't be long before you will need half the labor capacity to do the same work.
Yeah, I think it will be the case where account managers and client service people is doing a lot more of what you're already talking about and the stuff that you're already moving towards as a business, going there, being more of an advisor, meeting with the customer a lot more. I think we're almost going to move back to where we were like 20 odd years ago, where it was more face to face, more working with people on a personal level. So yeah, I think you're already a few steps ahead just by what you do naturally as a business.
Yeah, but it is frightening because it frustrates me that you want to just go and consistently looking for something and it's like it's not quite there, but you want to stay ahead of the industry. You want to stay ahead. We've always been ahead, but I just think it's a little bit too early, and I find it really frustrating.
Yeah, it's like we said, it is a big investment, a big gamble to then think, right, I've got this need, let's invest loads of money into developing something. So
yeah,
I think unless you as a business owner is just like, look, I have to do it. Unless that's the case, it's probably not worth doing.
I agree.
So yeah, that would be my 2 cents on it. But yeah, I think overall, mate, I think you've got some really good stuff there. It's more of a client focused business model, if you will, in terms of the way you're growing. And I really love that. And I think that is where I feel like the industry's definitely going. It helps if you've got referrals coming in naturally, and then you're building your marketing in the background sort of naturally on the back of it. So it's obviously working for you guys. So that's probably where I'd wrap it up. I think we've had a really good chat there. Is there anything else you'd like to add before I ask where to find you, how to get in touch with you?
No, I think unless you want me to add anything else, I think
No, I'm good, mate. I think you're a really good guest there. So let's say someone's listening to this, they're like, yeah, I really want to get a hold of Mitch, want to have a chat with them about something. What's the best way of doing that?
You can email me or message me on LinkedIn, and we can have a chat. If anyone, I'm sure they won't want to, but I'm sure if they do want to, they can. But we do work, just to kind of say, if there are any other accountants sort of listening to this, we do work with other accountants as well to sort of help improve their systems and advise. We train and how they can deliver their own advisory. We've got a whole system for it as well. So I think that's important to.
Yeah, no, that's definitely good. There'll be other accountants listening to this for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, great. So LinkedIn or email. What's the best email, Mitch?
Mitch@nordens.co.uk. Really nothing complicated there.
Yeah.
But yeah, just LinkedIn, I'm sure. I mean, I don't even know my handle on LinkedIn, but just if you want to message me on LinkedIn, feel free.
Perfect. I'll put it in on YouTube. I'll put it in the description below. But yeah, thanks a lot for your time, Mitch.
No worries, Oli. Thank you for having me on.